What's going on, guys? It's DigiWatchTCG coming to you with another deck profile. Today is Halloween, and so we're going to go with the black deck of the format, which is going to be DigimonTCG. Now, this is a or DarkKnightmon, however you want to call it. Now, this is a really fun deck, in my opinion. I think I've had the most fun playing this deck, just being able to kind of control your opponent's board. I guess you could say this is more like a tempo control type of deck. With all the effects you have, and it is kind of in a sense a similar kind of play style that Rookie Rush does like to do as well. So with that said, please like, subscribe, leave your thoughts below, and we're going to just start the profile. Now, starting off with the eggs, we're playing 4 of the Pagumon and 1 Monotomon. So Monomon, I think it's called Monimon, sorry. So Pagumon is when deleted, you get to look at the top card of your deck. If it's black, Digimon you add to hand. The rest, if it's not, it goes to the bottom of the deck. And then Monimon has the effect of all turns. If this Digimon has Twilight in its traits, gets a plus 1,000. So there is some argument to switch the ratio of this, being that you search a lot in this deck regardless. So even if you were to look at the top card in your deck and you get that piece to your hand, it's good. But Monomon can also give you that extra 1,000 that sometimes you need in this deck to be able to swing over things. So honestly, the eggs I think could be played in either way. I'm actually going to be trying out the 4 of this just to kind of see if it's a little bit of a different ratio, but I mean different it gives me some advantage. I've noticed in this that like sometimes 1,000 DP really does matter, especially since you're not going very high in these cards. Going into our rookie lineup, though, we are playing 3 of the Chikorimon from BT6. Now, what this does is if it hits in security, it de-digivolves one of your opponent's security. It's one of your opponent's Digimon. I like this card. I think that 3 is fine. It's a rookie. You can digivolve in raising on it if you draw it, and you basically can just... Like, 3s are not really as important in this deck as some of the other cards here. But this card here, I think, is a good pick to put in this deck. We're playing 3 copies of the new Chikorimon that you get the Ragna Lord starter deck. This one is pretty good too. All turns players cannot reduce the cost of Digimon. This pretty much stops a lot of the save mechanic Digimon. And this card specifically is good, but you have to keep in mind that when you are playing this card, that also stops you from digicrossing as well. So you may want to consider either attacking and trying to get rid of this card into their security, and then digivolving on top of it maybe to be able to digicross after. So that's something to keep in mind, that you may want to put this out and kind of stun your opponent for a turn and then go into your own plays. For our other rookies, we're playing 4 Monomon. This is a good card. It's a searcher. It gets you 2 cards with Deadly Axemon or Nightmon in their names, or Twilight in their traits, and then you add to the hand. You do, for the fact that you can get 2 pieces, that's the main reason why you're playing this, is because you want to get your pieces, and it's pretty easy to get all the pieces you need for this deck in all fairness. And then lastly, we're playing 2 Sparamon. Now, Sparamon here, I didn't even know why you play this, but after playing the deck for a while, I completely understand. So when you have Nene out, Nene has a trait of Twilight, and if you have a Tamer or Digimon, is what this says here, it gets it 3,000 additional DP all turns. So this is going to be 5,000 on all turns. And also when Nene is out, anything with Twilight is blocker. So essentially this becomes a 5,000 blocker very quickly and very easily to play in this deck. You basically put this in raising. This is when you're raising ones. This is probably one of your second choices for raising. This one is kind of like your on play or your raising, and this one is your on play. So that is going to be our lineup for the rookies here. Pretty standard in my opinion. So going into our next level up, a lot of level 4s we're going to go over. A lot of DigimonTCG, honestly. So starting off, we are playing with 4 copies of probably the most important one, in my opinion, is the DigimonTCG from, I think this is BT7 DigimonTCG. You basically, when you digivolve, when you attack, if you have a Deadly Nightmon on the field, you're able to place that Deadly Nightmon, just itself, nothing else underneath it, just a Deadly Nightmon underneath this card, and then digivolve it into a DarkKnightmon without paying the memory cost. Really good card in my opinion. Plus, it's inheritable, gives it security +1 if it's Bagramon or the DigimonTCG in its name on top of it. And additionally, there is a combination play that you can play with this and X Antibody, which I'll talk about later. And I'm going to shout out Taste of Victory for bringing it up, because I did see one of his deck profiles, and it did definitely make me consider that. But I don't play it in my version of the deck. We are playing 4 copies of the DigimonTCG Mighty Axe mode. This is a very good one here. You can digicross it with 2 to reduce the cost by 1, so you can make it a 3 cost on play. It has an on play effect as well. On play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1 card with Knightmon and 1 in its name, 1 Deadly Axemon or 1 Nene from among them to your hand, and then the rest get trashed. That's fine. You want to trash. If you digicross with this 2 cards underneath it, then you actually are able to delete a Digimon with 4 cost or less. So pretty cool, pretty good card in my opinion. It's a way of getting rid of removal. That's number 1. Which I actually had not even read all the. I guess I didn't read all the card text initially, so I didn't even know I had a second effect like that. You could digicross it with 2 cards, Deadly Axemon and DigimonTCG, and you can make it into, like I said, the ability to delete a level play cost of 4 or less. So you play 4 of these. It's good. You could play it out from your DarkKnightmon's effects, which we'll get into in a bit, and its effects are pretty good. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. It is a 4 of, in my opinion. Then we're going to play the cards that are not 4 ofs. We are playing 3 Deadly Axemon. So 3 Deadly Axemon here. Look at the top 5 of your deck. Add 2 cards with Knightmon or 2 cards with Knightmon in its name to your hand. So you can get a Knightmon and a what's the other card? DarkKnightmon and Knightmon. Any of these cards. This. And also, sorry, I forgot to mention, this card is also considered Deadly Knightmon and DigimonTCG. So if you do look at it from the effect of the Deadly Axemon here, you're going to be able to grab it as a DigimonTCG. Pretty good. Very good card. And then we are playing 2 of the DigimonTCG Cavalier mode. What this card does is it gives it jamming when you digivolve onto another Digimon, jamming or blocker. You have a choice. You could digivolve onto a 4 for 1 cost or a level 3 for 3 cost. And again, it gets the jamming and blocker. Pretty good card, and also considered itself Deadly Axemon and DigimonTCG as well. And then lastly, 1 Gromon for game, Black Hybrid for game. You play a lot of actually Black Tamers in this deck, and this is a very flexible spot here, so you can definitely adjust the ratios. I've seen some builds online as well that like cut this one out and then just play the 1 of here, and then you play 2 Gromon to make it more consistent. But I do definitely think that this is a good ratio, at least in my opinion. So we're going to put that there, and Skull Knight at the top. Okay, going into our level 5s, we are only playing. We're playing 4 copies of the new digicrossed DarkKnightmon. So what this card does is you could do. It's a 8 to play, 4 to digivolve on top of, but it has a digicross that if you take a Deadly Axemon and a DigimonTCG, you can reduce the cost by 2 per, making a 4 cost to play. And then when it is digicrossed, you can de-digivolve on play one of your opponent's Digimon, and then you can actually, if you're using 2 digicross materials, you're able to actually delete a Digimon with play cost of 5 or less. So pretty good. And then you all turns, when this Digimon would be deleted, you could, by returning 1 level 4 or lower in the Digivolution source, you could play the other one from underneath it. So let's say you're playing against the deck and this gets deleted in security or somewhat because you have the DigimonTCG over here. You would be able to return this to hand, and then you can play the Deadly Axemon. Deadly Axemon gets its effect, and then on your turn you can draw and then play this out or DNA it into your next version of the DarkKnightmon to play it again. So it is very recurrent. It gives you materials. I think the worst matchup, personally, if you're playing against other decks, would be something that strips the sources underneath this, which is it's a tough matchup against like Blue Flare and stuff. But this card at 4, absolutely. Then we're playing 3 copies of the DarkKnightmon from BT10. This is an on-play one, and you may place 1 DigimonTCG and 1 Deadly Axemon from your trash. Underneath this card is Digivolution materials, and when this card is deleted, you can play a Deadly Axemon and DigimonTCG from underneath it in suspended position. So it does like give itself like a little bit of recurrence. So if you go into this on your turn or your next turn, and it somehow lives, and you swing into security, and let's say it dies for some reason, you're able to return those pieces, basically to the field, and then you can probably go into the Digicross mechanic as well, and give you, and you get the on plays, of course, of both those cards as well. So I think this is a good ratio. One Chimeramon, because so many level 4s, why not? This can be a way of technically working with the DarkKnightmon also. You can go like DarkKnightmon, and then I've seen this combo kind of cool at my locals. You go into DarkKnightmon, DarkKnightmon gets deleted. You have the 2 level 4s play out. You Digicross, DNA into Chimeramon. Chimeramon puts underneath the DarkKnightmon underneath it, and then you're able to go into your top end level 6s right after that. Now, the next area here, I will show you a little bit of a combo at the end of this video for one of the main plays I was talking about with Taste of Victory, who broadcast this. I think it's really good. For level 6s, really powerful card. I actually think this card is very good. More than what it's recognized personally, like out there. DarkKnightmon, you Digivolve, you return any black or purple card from your trash to your hand. Keep that in mind. Any. It's not Digimon, it's any card. You could play a Tamer, you could be an option card, whatever you would like can return back. And that's purple or black. So this might have some way of playing into future sets when more support is announced. One Digivolve, you could add that to your hand. Then you can it has a few effects. So you return it to your hand, and then if DarkKnightmon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's traits, you can delete one Tamer, and then you can unsuspend this Digimon. So there's a few ways you could do this, because your Nene has the ability of when deleted, gain 2 memory. So you can do it on your own Nene, or you can do one of their cards as well. So if let's say you're playing against Digicross, you can Digicross into this, or sorry, go into your DarkKnightmon, Digivolve on top of this, swing with your DarkKnightmon, and then you're able to pop one of their Tamers, unsuspend, and you have an unsuspended DarkKnightmon that can attack the next turn. So I think this is really cool. Now, I'll go into the combo real quick, because this is the end of our levels here. Now, I will mention one thing. I'm not a rich man. I do not have Death X's to spare. They're in other decks that I'm currently using, but that is definitely something that you want to try to fit in as your level 7, either as a 1 or 2 of in this deck. I wouldn't really touch too much of the ratios here. You can maybe play around with the 4s a little bit, but mainly other cards you can cut and play Death X, but Death X definitely should be in this deck. So just that's a little bit of a mention there. If anything, if you needed to put another card because you maybe don't have that Death X, can't afford it, you could go into Omnimon Zwart or Omnimon Zwart Defeat. I think both of them are really good. You could defeat is obviously a good security Digimon. You can Digivolve on top of your DarkKnightmon, X Antibody into it, and you can delete one of their Tamers that way, or it could be a security bomb that comes out and it plays out right there. So that is the area here, the cards here. Now, one thing I will mention about this, there's a combo here. I'm just going to mention it. I'm just going to use this DarkKnightmon, but you can use any DarkKnightmon. So I'm going to talk about the X Antibody combo before we get to the options in the Tamers. So let's say you have a Skull Knightmon here, and Skull Knightmon swings at the security. Of course, you have the Deadly Axmon out, so you're going to put the Deadly Axmon underneath this. Sorry, my computer screen just blanked out for a second. There we go. So you're going to swing into this. This effect is going to trigger. You're going to put the Deadly Axmon into it to Digivolve into your DarkKnightmon. So your DarkKnightmon is still in that suspended position with the 2000 underneath it and the security +1 underneath it. And then you can actually, because of the X Antibody, Digivolve in that same attack into your Deadly DarkKnightmon for only 4 cost, essentially. So you're going for your 4 to your level 6 in 1 strike. And then his effect will trigger and be able to delete a Tamer or delete or unsuspend itself, and you have an unsuspended DarkKnightmon X Antibody ready to go. Then swing again, possibly do another few checks to your opponent's security. So that's something to just keep in mind if you are going to be playing the X Antibody form. And all you need to do is put the X antibody card in this deck. That's all you need to make the difference here. So now going into our tamers and our options, let's finish this up. So for the tamers, we're playing 4 Nene. It's a searcher, basically. You reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and you can add 1 card with Knightmon or Deadly Axemon or Twilight End's traits to your hand. And then on your opponent's turn, if this Digimon has DarkKnightmon or Twilight End's traits, it gets blocker. Really good card, and also on deletion, gain 2 memory for this card. So the tamer gets deleted, you gain 2 memory, which is why DarkKnightmon does not specify where the tamer needs to be deleted. You could delete your own. It's really kind of in line with what the anime was kind of showing, was that like DarkKnightmon cared about his own abilities. He didn't care how he ended up getting to where he had his top form and you know, his power and stuff. So it's the idea that he can get rid of his kid at any time to gain like more advantage. That's kind of like the lore behind it. And we have 1 Izzy Joe, because if your opponent goes wide, giving you more more memory to do more stuff is always good. And then 2 Izzy's. This is really good, I think, in my opinion. First off, if it gets hidden security and it pops, you are going to be able to look at the top 3 cards and gain a memory off of that. So in a sense, it could actually pass turn if your opponent's not careful. And of course, it's a memory tamer, so that's good as well. Also, you get to see what the top 3 cards are. So you have cards like Prime Memory Boost or Searchers. You know that if this doesn't look good, or, oh, you know what, I'm going to put this first, so I know I'm going to draw into it next turn. It's something to keep in mind. So that is the tamers here. And then lastly, we have our option cards. So we are playing 2 Security Bombs, which are the Ultimate Flares. This card, I could say you could replace it with anything. But this one, I don't like to delete this format because a lot of effects are, you know, gained from it. So I like to de-digivolve, and then that way the cards are not they're not saved underneath the tamer. So I do like this, and especially it helps against wide boards. But it may be something you want to move around, try other things. You can play Congo, you can play other things like Insecurity. I'm playing 1 card that definitely can be cut for Death X, is the Immortal Ruler. This is kind of like Monster Reborn. So basically you need a Nene in play, but when you do, you can play it for 0. You trash the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can play Dark-Knightmon or a card with Knightmon in its name. Nope, sorry, my bad. You can play Dark-Knightmon only from the trash without paying the memory cost. And then if it has a Digicross requirement, you can place the pieces from your trash as well underneath it. So this is a really good card. If you just don't have anything out, and maybe you don't have a Dark-Knightmon, you don't have any plays, and you're like, you know what, I'll play this, and kind of gets you back your card from your trash. You do have to pay the memory cost, keep in mind, though. Then lastly, the last 3 cards we are playing are 3 copies of Pride Memory Boost. Pride Memory Boost is really good. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then play a card with 4 costs or less. As you can see, all our rookies and all our level 4s are play costs of 4 costs or less. The rest get trashed, and then it's a memory boost, so it's 2. You gain 2 memory on the next turn. It stays in the on the field in the battle area. So this deck is meant to basically be able to control and kind of stop your opponent from doing multiple things in a turn just by de-digivolving them, making them lose resources. I like this deck. It's a lot of fun, personally. But I'm looking forward to future support that maybe makes this deck a little bit more consistent. I know we do get some more stuff in BT11, I think, with Bagra Army coming out, and maybe it'll be a little bit more mixed of purple and black. Not sure yet. You get Bagramon or Bagra. Yeah, I think it's called Bagramon, which you kind of combine with some of the things with the Dark-Knightmon deck. But that said, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Have a great one, guys. I hope this video was very helpful for anyone who's looking to make Dark-Knightmon. And again, I don't have Death Xmon. You don't have to have it either, but if you do, definitely consider playing in the deck.